Ẹ káàárọ̀ ẹ̀yin àwọn viewers wa, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò yìí. Èní ni Ọjọ́bọ̀. Okay, it's not going as well as I expected it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for joining us today. It's the Friday edition. Hence, my decision to start the show with Yoruba, because after working Kiloku, Igbadun Lokun Kamaje, my name is Olive Emodi, and I promise you a lot more serious than this. And for the rest of the show, for the next 3 hours, we're exploring the political landscape and economic state of our country. We'll be bringing to you some of the stories that have been trending in the past 24 to 48 hours, as well as the ones that we've been tracking over the course of the week. My name is Olive Emodi, and you're welcome to Breakfast Central.
Eshe, thank you. I stopped there.
I thought you were going to attempt to show me how it's done.
Eshe, go.
Speak Yoruba. I saw you, ba. Kefi Homi. Boshi Mashe.
Welcome to Breakfast Central. I'm sure it's good to have you join us on a Friday. Apparently, this is the last Friday in the month of January 2026.
So this is the first last Friday of the month. We'll have several last Fridays.
Yes, this is the first.
So this is the first last Friday of 2020.
Wow. And if you look at the time, we were just screaming Dirty December.
And Happy New Year was just yesterday.
And January started, ended. No, this January is fast.
There's
nothing you want to tell me.
You know why the January is fast? Because you have money and they have paid you salary. Shout out.
No, it's not because of that.
If they have not paid you salary,
they paid.
That's how you know rich kids.
Wow.
Rich kids don't know when their salary has come because they don't function according to bank
balance. Tone it down. We're on national TV.
This one that...
Because the stories we want to share with people now on Wake Up Conversation, especially Fridays. Fridays we keep it a bit light and then a bit, incisive. Well, by the way, welcome. We believe that everyone is live with us. If you're not watching or you're about to leave the house and go to work, don't forget you can stream on YouTube. So while on your way, just log on to YouTube and keep following us wherever you go, because we're there with you to bring to you the latest stories. We're going to tell you about a very interesting story as we start off. First of all, news has been agog, especially online, concerning Sowore and what he tendered in court. There are stories of him being arrested, and then he brought evidence. And then he tendered Reno Mokri's video where he was abusing the current president and calling him all sorts of names. In other words, questions are, is Sowore trying to prove that him calling the president all sorts of names is not a crime? Because, his lawyers are saying, this is evidence. Somebody called the president names, and now he's now an ambassador and he's working with the president. So why do you say my client is committing a serious crime and so on? Would one day we'll drop on that story, and maybe we'll have Sowore join us. But there's also a story of a popular actor who is part of the coup, alleged coup, which is no longer alleged now. It's been made known to Nigerians. The plot to ensure that top officials are executed. Very, very interesting story too. But then again, we'll also look into that maybe today or maybe in the course of our broadcast during the week. But let's start off with our very interesting wake-up conversations. Ollie, by the way, you look beautiful, I must say.
Thank you. Shout out to friends that buy you dresses.
And I'm dressed all important and serious. I mean,
this is Olive in Olive.
Yeah, I noticed.
Courtesy of my lovely friend Ayo. Thank you so much for my dress.
Wow.
Yes, shout out to friends that buy people dresses. But thankfully, she's not the person that has problems with EFCC, and she's buying little from the from the plenty that God has blessed her with. But it's not we're not doing lavish lifestyle.
I can imagine.
Well, if you were wondering why I was trying to bring in EFCC into the conversation,
it is because trending, right?
Media personality Peter Amokeni of Obudu, popularly known as Baba Ghana, has accused the EFCC, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, of corruption and abuse of power following an operation he claimed took place in the early hours of the morning during the week, around 3 to 4 a.m. in Abuja. Speaking in a video shared on Instagram, Baba Ghana alleged that EFCC operatives moved from Soweto to Duse Access, went to 2 hotels, obtained master keys, and allegedly opened about 52 hotel room doors one by one in search of a target affecting what he described as several innocent citizens who were merely there to pass time. He contrasted the operation with those of the CID, which he said are usually smoother and more coordinated, arguing that opening multiple rooms indiscriminately reflects poor intelligence and abuse of power. The allegations have since sparked widespread reactions online, while the EFCC has yet to issue an official response. Let's take a look at the video, and we'll come to share what Nigerians are saying.
And so I want to feel free today to let you know that some of your staff, some of your EFCC staff, they be thief. Because the same thing where they pursue the Yahoo boys for, so they also pursue and chase them and steal from the boys. Because explain to me how you go pursue a Yahoo boy, you catch him, you can't go corner, go collect money from him. We'll go there. That's not why I've come today, but let me first address the issue why I'm doing this video. Olasa, just last week here, your boys from Soweto came and carried out an operation in 2 hotels somewhere around Duse. AJ's Hotel and Apartments and the Nino Hotel. They came around 3 and 4-ish a.m. in the morning. And then, in AJ Hotel, they went in, took the master key from the porter, and then went into the rooms. 52 rooms, sir. They were using master key to open each room, one after the other. They bumped into families, husband and wives, naked for bed. Saw their nakedness. They bumped into people who came in with their girlfriend to relax with nakedness. They bumped into people who came into a hotel to just rest because their head full with Nigeria problem with nakedness. So let me tell you this and say it very clearly. Whatever law that is guiding the EFCC, they make those laws to protect the rights, fundamentally human rights of Nigerians. So whatever you think say on our rights, top, Nigerians' rights, now there it begin. Because without us existing, the EFCC will never exist. And so you are taking laws into your hands. Those days while we were younger, much younger, we used to hear about the CIDs. When the CIDs come into an area, you know they know them. They go monitor the area. They go do their investigation, do things where they want to do. When they come strike, we know they wouldn't know when they strike. They just come and pick whoever that they've been monitoring. They take them out. Now, here we go to here say they don't come. These were times that were even analog. Let alone now that we have gadgets, we're in a technological age where you can use technology to do most of these things. But no, your boys will rather want to behave like criminals because they know, say, what is that they can't do so administratively? Office not.
Well, he's talked about the rascality in the approach the FCC has used to exercise their rights to search, to do the, I don't know if I'll call this on stop and search. But that's not the best way. Imagine if I were in that hotel, for example, with my spouse, and the EFCC came and opened the door in the middle. Like, imagine how it's degrading. So there has to be better ways the EFCC can carry out their activities. The truth is, this is not the first time we've heard of this. Several times we saw the video, we even played it on this show. I think it was in Ibadan, where they stormed into a hotel and they were breaking down doors and beating people.
They were beating the reception.
We're not in a banana republic. That happens where there are thugs. You, as a law enforcement agency, the one thing you shouldn't be caught doing is breaking the law, because that's counter. It's the opposite of what you're known for. You're known for upholding the law, breaking down into hotels, trespassing into people's private spaces, keeping them to their right of dignity, to the dignity of human person. These are things that should be spoken about. And again, whenever we hear things like this, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point when I say certain actions keep repeating themselves because there haven't been strong consequences that have been meted against the perpetrators of this act. If I, as an EFCC official, know that there are certain illegal ways to carry out an arrest, and if I try it and they find me out, that's the end of my career, I would think twice before I go ahead to do it.
He said a lot in that video. I think I was opportune to listen to it. And part of the things he said, I mean, they took the MasterCard, they checked 52 rooms. So imagine barging into every room, like you've said, and in my room, I'm with my family, and then you hit the door open and you forcefully enter. I think, first things first, everyone in that room should sue the EFCC.
Of course.
Sue them. Sue the EFCC. I think if the EFCC starts paying in court, another problem is most Nigerians now have lost faith in the judiciary. That's another problem. But we must still
imagine what kind of an impression that would give to somebody who traveled into Nigeria for the first time and is lodged in that hotel.
He said that in the video. It's a lengthy video. I was able to, you know, just watch all of that. And then I went through the comments, and there were some people who were agreeing to some of the things, and people were even sharing their own stories. And part of the things he said was some of the expatriates who are in that hotel checked out immediately.
Of course I will.
And they moved away. And the owner of the hotel is crying now because patronage has dropped.
Of course.
People are no longer lodging. People are saying, oh, so you know the rumor spreads at that hotel where EFCC came. That's one. Two, he also said the EFCC, after barging into all the rooms, went and took away the CCTV and the cameras so that nobody would be able to have evidence. I mean, that's criminality of some sort.
Going back to that traveling one, I imagined, because I do solo traveling a lot, and I imagine how unsafe I would feel as a solo traveler. The only one time I tried to use an Airbnb abroad, at 2 a.m. in the morning, I checked out and I went to a hotel because I didn't feel safe in the Airbnb. So that's a huge case against the EFCC. People who came visiting, they already have an impression about Nigeria, about Nigeria's law enforcement being lawless.
You know what he said? There's a part of that video that I think the EFCC chairman needs to respond. He said he's challenging the EFCC chairman, and the EFCC chairman should come out. He's calling him out, that the EFCC chairman should be investigated, and he would like for him to be investigated. That he would arrange private investigators to also investigate his boys, that he's certain that his boys are making money from the so-called Yahoo boys, that he has details, he has proof. But that they should come to an agreement. The FCC chairman should open himself up for investigation, and also his staff, the workers, the FCC members, or call them team, that he's ready and that they will prove it, that these guys are making money from the so-called criminal cybercrime. You know, there's a lot going on. I'm hoping that the FCC will respond. And just before we take what Nigerians are saying, we'll have to go for a quick break. But before the break, I just want to highlight that there's also a miscommunication that the FCC is passing out there. And I hope they listen. We had the FCC media person who said that after that incident happened in the southwest, where they entered and they were beating people in the middle of the night, that they've called them to order and said there will be no more sting operations. I don't know if you remember. He was here, he said it on the show.
Yes.
There will be no more sting operations. They are talking to them, looking into it. But the EFCC chair, in another interview, has said that they are under the ambit of the law. They are allowed to break in and do whatever they have to do. So who is saying what? What is the FCC holding on to as their rule of law for operation? It's a problem.
I mean, on a much lighter note, I really hate whenever they say they are under the ambit of the law, I think of.
Well,
let's go on a break. We'll come back and take what Nigerians are saying. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We began the breakfast wake-up conversations with the allegation against the AFCC for the unruly way in which it's allegedly stormed into a hotel and burst into 52 rooms. These rooms were occupied by Nigerians. And after this, they were alleged to have carted away the CCTV cameras, so there's no evidence. Now, there have been reactions to this, but before we head to X to get what Nigerians are saying, I'll begin with YouTube to get what Nigerians are saying about this. Mokunye Chikwemeka, good morning. He says, have you heard that these EFCC guys are punished for carrying out these illegal raids? No. their boss has never said anything about their modus operandi, which goes back to what I said earlier. If you knew that you had to pay a stiff penalty, a hefty price for these illegal acts, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it still falls back to the leadership of the EFCC and how the leadership has carried out its affairs. But let's head to X and see what Nigerians are saying about this allegation. No, this is a wrong tweet, please. Can we take this down? This is not about Soludo.
No, we'll get to this story.
We'll get to the... Yes, he didn't learn from Wiki. No.
Anyway, let's come back. We'll try as much as possible to sort it out. Let's hope we can sort the tweets out very quickly. I also wanted to highlight that the EFCC chair had made mention that he would resign if the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, is not brought to books. Oliver, as we speak now, Yahaya Bello is heading to Mecca. Yahaya Bello's passport has been released to him. He's traveling out to Mecca.
Anyway, keep your comments coming on YouTube.
I think for us as journalists who sometimes read these stories, write these stories, report these stories, and then come on air to present the stories, sometimes we must call a spade a spade. Do people think that we're stupid? Are Nigerians stupid? That's the question I would love to ask. If I had the chance to be with the EFCC chair, I would love to ask him, sir, how do you look at Nigerians? We have Nigerians who are so smart up there. They are one of the best in the world. So you cannot paint a picture and people can see that it's blue, but you're coming to tell us it's white. So it's obvious that there's a problem even within the anti-graft agency. They are grappling, they are struggling even internally before they can actually carry out what they're doing. Yahoo boys are not the only boys that you're chasing after. Where are the politicians? Where are those who it's been proven that, see, they have spent money that belongs to taxpayers? Have you arraigned them? Are they in prison? When you ask him, he will tell you, oh, no, the case is still in court. It takes longer. We're looking at it. Yeah, right. Anyway, let's see reactions from Nigerians, definitely. David Fenori says, he tags the EFCC chair, and EFCC says, when I found out you were a pastor, I felt a sense of relief despite my distrust of pastors. Unfortunately, the EFCC's current state reveals your true leadership. Your followers' actions will have consequences, and your legacy will be questioned when you leave. Okay. Project Fix RC says they are becoming a huge menace to society. The innocents are not even spared from their illegal raids. Another point there. Udeme George says, this has gone on for too long. It's a normal thing in Nigeria. EFCC is a branch of the police. So what do you expect? Let's just keep pretending. That's what he says. And we do have a systemic problem, and we must truly address it. The EFCC needs to really come out. And I think it's high time the EFCC, maybe you should have a town hall. If you have a town hall, then you would understand, you'll feel the pulse of Nigerians and understand what you're really doing, if it's working or it's not working. But let's move away to another story now. And this time, let's talk about someone who is talking, and she's talking on social media. Now, the headline clearly says that the Turkish officials are shocked that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's fall made headlines here in Nigeria. And who's saying this? We're talking about Abike Dabiri. Now, in a recent post on social media, she highlighted the reasons why Nigerians, fellow Nigerians like yourself, should stop sharing the video and images of the stumble of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. She said in Turkey, they didn't see it as anything, as it were, in a statement, but they're shocked that in Nigeria, it has become a major headliner, and she's wondering why Nigerians are doing so. There are also conversations as regards to how this impacts negatively on Nigeria's economy, on Nigeria's well-being, on the image of the country, and why Nigerians, especially the young ones, I would highlight that, are indeed sharing this video, especially on X. Olive, I don't know if this is worthy of a conversation. It is, but in the aspect of why is it making headlines?
Well,
she highlighted that, sorry to butt in, that you have presidents, and we talked about this here, they had great presidents who have also fallen. I mean, talk about United States President Barack Obama, former United States President, and name them. There are many of them that they have fallen. So I mean, what is there that Nigerians are making a noise about?
I mean, therefore, if I was a media person, maybe a media aide to the president, the way I would have spinned an article like falling in love with Nigeria. He's falling in love with the country such that he has to go, you know, put himself through the hassle and the stress of traveling, even when it's, I mean, that's just on a much lighter note. I did say yesterday that, to an extent, I didn't think people should have made fun of the fact that he fell, because anybody can fall.
We said that, yeah.
You know, the president is much older. It's understandable. I can understand why they are reacting that way. Do I approve of it? Maybe no. Do I understand it? Yes, I do. And I understand it from the perspective of those who have criticized the president's age. They have said he's much older and should be resting. And there's been a push for us to have younger leaders, how the older leaders should take a step back and allow those younger than them to run for office. The labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. But the heroes past are still the heroes present. And they have said that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Our children are the leaders of tomorrow. But the leaders of yesterday have refused to relinquish power. And that's something that's not just particular to Nigeria. It's an African thing, not just even Africa. We've seen it in different parts of the country, and even in America, where leaders are a lot older, and they're wondering, look, once you're over 70, nobody is saying that you can't function and serve your nation, but must be at the highest capacity, because being the #1 citizen will require a lot of traveling. It would require a lot of mental, physical, emotional alertness that age might not afford you at that point. So that would be the angle that a number of people are criticizing this from. There were videos, some clips where you could see the president. It felt like, you know, Erdogan was, yes, holding him. So part of the analysis we've seen are those who believe that he may not be
in physically,
in top shape. But making a mockery of it, I mean, I would never approve of that. Because one, I'm a proper Nigerian, Omoluabi. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that applies to me, but I understand that he's much older, and I would give respect to whom respect is due. I wouldn't disrespect him and make fun of him like that.
Yeah, I mean, the points are clear, and I understand Abike Dabiri's stance that, I mean, it shouldn't be done that way. It should be done in a different manner. The SSA also came out to say that it was an iron, or a carpet rather, and the metal that was there that made the president stumble. Nigerians, you know, so there will be different reactions, and there will be rhetorics, and there will be responses, and there will be people, you know, so far so good. Whether you check that people are using AI to make videos of the president dancing. People are using AI to make the president rapping. People are using AI and so on. But the president had said of himself that he doesn't go to social media. He doesn't go there. That they will abuse you. So it doesn't have anything to do with social media. So I can be rest assured that the president is not bothered about what people are saying. He's not. He's focused on the mandate, and he has signed the 9 agreements with Turkey. And with that agreement, I'm sure the president is focused. But
that being said, I'm looking forward to the time when we would actually have much younger presidents, like we see in Senegal, we see in different other countries. Like, it would be great for us to have a younger president in Nigeria. It may not be now, but in the nearest future. But let's see what Nigerians are saying about this on X. And our first tweet this morning: the world media was agog when Biden fell, and no one made a fuss about it. But in Nigeria, APC supporters want us to keep quiet. Why? Who is Tinubu that we should keep quiet? Well, he's your president. My worst set to ever manage a president. Their only solution to damage control is usually to gaslight her citizens. Please, was NTA, AIT, TVC, or Arise News in Turkey? How on earth did we get the new videos of, or did Mazi Tunde not Oyaba left lives? The only problem I have with this tweet is, why did you not put News Central when you were listing those people? Please, next time, make sure you put News Central there. Do we really need Turkey to point out that his misstep, much like Joe Biden's, is harming Soweto? Do we really need Turkey to point out that his misstep, much like Joe Biden's, is harming Nigeria's global image, especially when it involves health concerns similar to Biden's used in process asks? Esoteric says those officials must be in the same club as the late General Buhari. No other government official expressed more shock than him, home or abroad, Esoteric says. Ayodeji Kayode says because they don't know nor care that Nigerians are in pain with leaders who are old enough to take a back seat with their immediate family instead of playing kalu-kalu with destinies of millions. And our next tweet, Ebenezer Akinri Ade says, tell their president to also come to Nigeria and stumble. Let's see if it won't make headline in their newspaper.
Anyway, Madam Abike Dabiri, Senator, let me address her professionally, or Honorable Abike Dabiri, has said that even the Turkish media dismissed the talks about the fall, and they said it's mischievous, that rather they in Turkey are celebrating the pact, the agreement, the MOU that has been signed with Nigeria. So while Nigerians busy are doing that. But then again, Nigerians will react whether you like it or not.
Well, there's nothing that you can do to stop Nigeria.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
He's the number one citizen, and people must talk about it.
And the video is out there. The video is out there.
All right, let's bring our top stories. We have other stories, but keep your comments coming via YouTube. We'd like to take them as we proceed with the show. But let's share with you what the top stories today are on Breakfast Central.
Today on Breakfast Central, our top stories, we'll look at Makoko demolition protest aftermath. We do have one of the protesters who will be joining us. It might be two. You get to find out. Miyetti leaders arrested in Kwara State. Why? Well, there's this conversation of sponsorship of banditry and terrorists. Reps adjourned plenary for 2 weeks. They just came back now. What's going on? MCT and Solidarity March. Why? What's happening? We'll find out. We hear there's a counter one as well. And the newspaper front pages. Every single thing here on Breakfast Central. Stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central this morning. Let's tell you that a Lagos-based couple identified simply as Fred and Goodness have been arrested for allegedly staging their own kidnap and extorting about 10 million naira from their families and friends in a case that has sparked outrage and renewed concern over the country's insecurity narrative. According to police sources, the couple allegedly faked the abduction on January 7, contacting relatives on both sides of their families to claim they had been kidnapped and demanding ransom removed. They reportedly led loved ones to raise money within 3 days, believing it was needed to secure their release. Investigations revealed that the scheme was allegedly orchestrated to raise funds for the husband's planned return to the United States after financial support from sponsors failed to materialize. However, in a separate twist, the video you find there on the screen is a true story of a woman whose daughter has been kidnapped. The video shows the woman walking into the market space, seeking and calling for help, asking people, including those in the market, to support and donate by contribution to ensure that she can seek the release of her daughter who has been truly kidnapped. So, Olive, we have a tale of two stories here, still bordering on kidnapping. The first, a couple who have faked their own kidnap and have been able to raise 10 million only to be caught that it's entirely farce. And the second one, the video you see there on the screen, a woman whose daughter has truly been kidnapped, and currently she's seeking help to ensure that she gets the release of her own daughter. Now,
just to clarify that the second video is courtesy PDOM Nigeria. They posted it on their page. And why the first story really bothers me? It bothers me because it, in a way, waters down the problem or the challenges of insecurity that we have. When someone fakes their own kidnap and, you know, it becomes a public issue like this. When there's another kidnap, the resources that would have been channeled towards another kidnap has been channeled towards trying to rescue them, one. Two, it makes light. It's like they're making light of the plight of victims who have been kidnapped or who have survived kidnapping. It's also like they have, in some way, trivialized this point. And it's really, really sad to see that this is where we've come to as a nation.
Let's see the video of that woman. Let's show Nigerians
let's
the
take a look
video.
at the video.
Yeah, and let's see what she's saying as well in that video. Take a look.
Kọ́jú Farouk GT Bank. GT Bank ó yẹ bá àkáǹtì yẹn pé. 0217165618. Kọ́jú Farouk GT Bank. GT Bank. Ẹjọ́ ẹ ṣàánú wa.
What this tells is a story of the desperation of a mother who will do anything to save her child, the desperation of a nation where we find that insecurity has become the order of the day, where citizens are providing their own security to themselves. It's one thing for the lawmakers to pass a law that criminalizes raising funds for ransom, but we find that that has become an order of the day here in Nigeria, where unfortunately citizens are not sure. They're not sure. They can't guarantee their own safety. And it's just so sad that we've come to this level for her to get to the market, and she's trying to raise about 30 million. And all she has so far, I think she's been able to come up to 1 million. And
they're asking for 100 million.
Is it 100 or 30? Let me just 30. Confirm that. You know, what's even sad in all of this is the fact that she may not even be able to raise these funds. She may not be able to raise it. You know, and what happens to her child if she's not able to raise the funds?
We have a problem because it seems like, not it seems, it is what it is. Kidnapping has now become a neighborhood business. Because the truth is, this is someone who is struggling to even take care of herself and her family, and then she has her daughter kidnapped. We're also seeing the story of people who possibly just arrived or came into the country, they've also been kidnapped. It's high time, Olive, if you ask me, we have a possibly deeper look into the kidnapping situation here in Nigeria, as it's no longer looking interesting anymore. And this is where we should see law enforcement agents throwing their energy into, rather than looking for opportunities to extort Nigerians, exploit Nigerians. Kidnapping is a financial crime. Sorry? Kidnapping is a financial crime. Well, yeah. It is. It's a because they have to be paid. Yeah. Some ask for transfer. As opposed to them going to break into hotels and extort citizens. But let's now take this conversation to a different angle, which is another really equally sad story. On Wednesday, the 28th of January this week, hundreds of displaced residents gathered at the Lagos State House of Assembly to protest the demolition of their homes. The protest, led by civil society groups, turned chaotic when police used force to disperse the crowd. Activist Hassan, Soweto, and fellow protester Dele Frank were arrested and later arraigned on charges of conspiracy to commit felony. Soweto now accuses CP Jimoh Moshood of personally assaulting and torturing him in custody. Joining us for this discussion to share more details of his ordeal is human rights activist Hassan Soweto. Thank you for joining us. Yes, thanks for having me. First of all, I'm so sorry for what you've been through. I can see the bruises on your body, and I can see the bruises on your face. I can see the swollen lip. I read the rather harrowing detail of what you went through, but can you share with us the activities or the events of the past 48 hours? Well, let me start by first commending the Nigerian people who rose up when this happened, you know, clearly denouncing the repression of the Nigerian police and the state against not just my person, but thousands of protesters from communities facing forced eviction across Lagos State. What happened on that day is, again, another example of the viciousness of the Nigerian state and how they do not want to allow the voices of the people to be raised even against their policies when they are doing what is wrong. And in this particular instance, it wasn't just about any policy, it was about a land grabbing issue. And that explains how and why the Commissioner of Police became very much vicious around this matter, because he clearly had a vested interest. When I was arrested at a point where I had just finished addressing protesters, asking them to sit down while we are waiting for the members of the House of Assembly to respond to our request for protesters to be allowed into the designated portion of the assembly,
for civic engagement with the assembly. I asked protesters to sit down so that gala and water could be distributed, and protesters complied and sat down. I finished that address because somebody carried me on their neck. And then as I was dropped down, I was backing the police. And that was when mayhem, started. They fired tear gas, grabbed me from behind. I must also commend, the protesters. About 3 young men tried to rescue me from the police. And in the process of doing that, I felt that they themselves could become a victim of the ongoing assault. I had to ask them to leave me and save themselves first. That was how the police were able to take me away. They dragged me into the assembly ground. Before I even got to the assembly ground, my glasses, without which I cannot see very well or function, had already been broken. My belt, everything broken. And then by the time we got into the assembly ground, he took me behind the security post, asked me to lie down, face down. And then the assault started. About 7 police officers, including the Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimo, started hitting me. In fact, Moshood Jimo, while hitting me, was screaming that you said I killed babies in Makoko. How can you call me a baby killer? And he was screaming. He was hitting me with his boots and with punches. While this was going on, I kept trying to protect my head. And in the process of doing that, Moshood Jimo could see that I could see what he was doing. That was part of the assault. And then the next thing was that he has this man to blindfold me. He tore my T-shirt, the white one I wore, and used it to tie my face. And then they anchored my hand behind and laid me on the ground again. So at this time, I could not even determine where the blow would land anymore. It became a free-for-all, which went on for several minutes. At a point, I received a blow to the back of my head, whether a punch or a kick, I could not tell. But I blacked out for a while. And then another kick to my groin woke me up. And that was how possibly I did not die. And then after this, they then grabbed me at the back of my head with the blindfold. And in the process, also grabbed a pendant with a long chain that I had around my neck and started dragging me on the floor. So in this process, this pendant strangled my neck and I was gasping for breath. And they kept dragging me on the floor through the security post. Outside of the assembly main gate, I was dragged on the floor for how long I could not tell until I was dumped into a waiting police van. And then I was driven to Panti, still blindfolded, still with my hand cuffed to my back. When we got to Panti, I was dragged down the same way and dragged on the floor through the premises of Panti and up the stairs and dragged to some offices where I was processed. And then eventually I ended up in an office where my statement was meant to be taken. At this point, they removed my blindfold, and then they released my hand from the back and cuffed me from the front, which was a bit of a relief, and then demanded that I write a statement. I told them that I would only do so if I was allowed to call my lawyer, which by my right and by law, I ought to be allowed to do. He refused to allow me and insisted that I would write a statement. At which point I told them that I would not write a statement unless my lawyer was present. This went on for several other hours. Then at a point, I think they had concluded that they were going to arraign me regardless of whether I wrote a statement or not. But because my entire body was filled with bruises, right now, I've been to the hospital yesterday, and I'm still going back again because I've been asked to do X-ray and an MRI scan because I have a pre-existing sleep disc problem on my back, which I've been managing for years. And right now, I have pain all over that place. So, but I had wounds, open wounds, which are now, drying up. And I think the police felt that they couldn't just take me to court with all of that. So they brought in a nurse and they wanted to treat me and give me an injection. So I rejected that. And that was how another round of assault started. The police man, whose name I do not know now, but there's another officer in the room whose name is ASP Taiwo, then ordered that my hand should be restrained again from the back, and that 2 policemen should hold me again so that I could be treated. They had iodine, they had syringes, they had just all kinds of injections and coke with them. And then I started resisting. Because for 2 reasons. One is that it was the police that inflicted the injury on me. I will not allow them to cover what they had done. Then secondly, for a commissioner of police who had decided to personalize this issue and make it a personal issue between himself and me, there is no way I could allow a nurse, operating, under his authority, to give me an injection. So this went on for several minutes until the nurse herself told the officers that she could no more go through with this, that she could not treat a man without his consent. Because I told her that I know that just like doctors, nurses are not supposed to partake in torture. And if she went through with this, if I survived this, I was going to go to our professional associations and union to report her. Because I think that as professional, she ought to know what is right. So, but good enough for her. When the matter was really getting to a point where it was really, really very bad, she withdrew. And that was how I was left alone. And then myself and the other person who was arrested with Daily Frank were then driven to Ogba Magistrate Court. On that same day.
That same day?
At breakneck speed. We almost, our vehicle, the police vehicle, almost crushed a lady who was crossing the road alongside, around that, is it Ikorodu Road you call it now? Okay. When you are going towards Maryland.
Ikorodu Road.
Almost crushed her because we were driving on the BRT lane and at breakneck speed. Despite that, we didn't get to the Ogba Magistrate Court until maybe 5:30.
Wow.
Because by the time we got to the court, I didn't have a watch with me, but I could see that the entire court premises was empty. But there were 2 prison vehicles waiting. So apparently the commissioner of police had called them, asked them to wait because he needed to get Soweto to prison. But the magistrate had left, and then I then witnessed a charade of police officers and the prosecutor with their phones, calling the magistrate and just begging him or her, I don't know the gender of the person, just begging them to come. Just come and do this arraignment. And that was when I started laughing. And I told them that this illegality, we can't continue like this. So when they were defeated, they told us to enter the vehicle again. With their tails between their legs, drove us back to Pati. At which point, we were then taken to the counter. We were handed over to those at the counter. My phone was not returned to me, neither was it presented at the counter. When I asked the police officer who was holding the phone, the same ASP Taiwo, he told me he had clear instruction that I must not be allowed to have a phone call. And that was because clearly the commissioner of police knew that if I was able to make that call, because already many activists across the country were already looking for me. And even in Lagos State, activists were going from one police station to another. They requested to see me in order. They also went to the commissioner of police office itself at the state command. So he knew that if I had that call, then everything would change. But we were not allowed. So we were taken to the cell where we spent the night. And in the cell was quite more of a free, we enjoyed freedom in the cell because we were with a fellow Nigerians, most of them who had done nothing at all. In the cell where I was, Singapore, we were 64.
64?
In that room. Nobody could sleep properly. 64, packed. When I checked the record of the police at the counter of the number of inmates, both male and female. Because there were 2 male cells, and I don't know how many female cells anyway. So I know that there are 2 male cells. And for the 2 male cells, the record was 99. For the female cell, 7. In the male cell that I was, we were 64 when they did the head count yesterday morning. And when I discussed with some of them, most of them had done nothing. In fact, one young man was brought in around 10:30 p.m. He was a bricklayer who was coming from work. They went to set all this concrete slab. And then they were fighting in one community that was going through. The police arrested. These are the kinds of people that most of them that were in that cell. But we enjoyed our time in the cell, and the next morning, when we woke up, the police came to take us to Yaba Magistrate Court this time around.
To where?
Yaba Magistrate Court. Because apparently, they felt that if they took us to Ogba, maybe our people would easily know that, since we had been there, the day before. But unfortunately for them, you can't hide, you can't abduct people and expect that you can hide them forever. So that by the time we got to the magistrate court, our own dear comrade lawyer, Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, was already at the court waiting for us. And that was where all of their game, whatever they had in mind, that was where everything ended. We got to the court around 7:07, because the policemen who were with us were complaining that why did we have to go to court this early, where court does not open until 9. But yet, we were not, our case did not come out until around 1:32 p.m. The whole idea was to ensure that our case would come up late, and then even if we were granted bail, it would be too late for us to do that.
So you go back to prison? So
that we can still go. Because the aim of the Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimoh, is that we must go to prison. But unfortunately, again for him, because our lawyer was around, Femi Falana SCA, that plan could not work. The prosecutor tried to get the court to rule against the legal representation of Femi Falana, saying that because he's the son, he could not appear in a magistrate court. But unfortunately for him, the prosecutor himself is very ignorant of the law in Lagos State. So he was relying on, an ongoing matter in Oyo State, where the court had ruled in that manner that a son would not appear. But in Lagos State, because, the law is much more developed, there are copious provisions that says that a senior advocate of Nigeria is first and foremost a lawyer, and therefore can defend their client in any court whatsoever, including a customary court of law. So that was how Femi Falana was able to retain, the legal representation, which is the only reason why we are free today. Because even as I'm speaking to you, we have still not yet been able to perfect that. But we were released to come with Femi Falana on self-recognition, with the understanding that we are going to come back to court this way, to come and perfect that.
When is the next court appearance?
The next court appearance is in March. And it's not surprising that you have that kind of long adjournment.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the charges, 5 count charges, these are ridiculous, shameful charges that is in contravention of the freedom of assembly as enshrined in the Constitution. The charges simply says that we protested, and in the process of protesting, we blocked traffic. In the process of protesting, we sang abusive songs. In the process of protesting, we wanted to cause breach of public peace. The interesting thing about these charges is that there are no possibility of having any real evidence to support any of this. The world global media organizations were at the protest yesterday, and they saw at the point where we had tough time with the police. They were at the period when the police was trying to make the protest impossible. In the first instance, Commissioner of Police refused to accept our letter of notification. In fact, it took Comrade Falana's call to him on the morning of the protest, around 5 a.m., before he reluctantly agreed that we could even gather at Kejonda Bridge. Otherwise, the plan was that as soon as we begin to gather that morning by 7 a.m., we were going to be fired up. That was why the community in Akoko was, you had several police vans around 6 a.m. in that community, ready to fire the people. At Owodio market, they placed police vans in the community ready to fire the people. What's allowed the protest to
fire? You mean tear gas and all that?
To tear gas, to scatter people and all of that.
Okay.
It was only Femi Falana's call to the CP, insisting that we had the right as Nigerians to gather, that even allowed the protest to take off. And before the protest would take off, one superior police officer named Saliu, I do not remember his first name, but somebody I'd never seen before, he came to the protest and said that certain people could not march with us. And who are these people? Children who had been evicted, who are sleeping on canoes, whose parents brought to demonstrate, to show to the people. Because what the protest was about is to debunk all of the lies of the Lagos State Police that they were not possibly evicting people. They have not killed anybody, either in Makoko or Wode Oniri or Woroshoki, and that what they were doing was simply urban renewal. So the whole purpose of the protest was to show physically all of the victims of this violence. We had pictures of those who had been killed. We had their relatives also there to speak to the media. At Ikejonda Bridge, they said the children could not march with us, which we obliged. When we started moving, by the time we passed the Odo market, near Ale Avenue, the police came again and said the mock coffee that we had with us, on which we had posted the pictures of those who were killed. 35 people killed in the Woroshoki, their pictures were there. 6 people.
Are these numbers confirmed?
They are confirmed. If journalists want to see the bodies of the 6 people who were killed in the Wode Oniri in mortuary, we can take you there. 12 people killed in Makoko, including a 5-day-old baby. We had their pictures there and their family members. We posted all of these pictures on the mock coffee and also had some pictures on picture frames. Because we wanted this evidence to be known to Lagosians, because we cannot have, but Lagos is not Gaza, where police will kill this much and there will be no outrage. There should be no Lagosian who should feel safe that this much people are killed in our communities. And the police is denying, the state government is not saying anything, and everybody thinks that what is just happening in Makoko is that they want to displace some people because the place is dirty. Yes, we have issues even on those points. But what I'm saying is that from the point of view of the violence that has been unleashed on people in these different places, Lagosians, not just the people who are affected, the entirety of Lagosians ought to have issues with this government. And that was the whole purpose of it. They asked us to release the mock coffin to them. So we had to, because the police said that if we did not release the mock coffin to them, the march will end at the podium. I'm telling you all of this to show where the violence started from, because the story that the Lagos State CP is carrying all about is that we were unruly, we were rude, we were violent. They were the ones who were doing everything to make the march impossible. That protest was one of the biggest protests in recent times in this state, and most organized. We had a first aid team that was, because we knew we were going to have elderly people in the protest. We had a solid first aid team. We had every provision whatsoever to ensure that we had a solid march. We gave them the coffin because we felt that without the coffin, we could still express ourselves. And then we kept on marching. You will notice that we did not stop at the usual Allen Avenue, which is our usual traditional stopping point. Because we felt that we did not want to give the police any reason at all, because they were already complaining traffic and all of that. And then we got to the House of Assembly. What led to the argument at the House of Assembly was that by the time we got to the Assembly, we met a police cordon, a fierce police cordon, led by the Commissioner of Police. And we said that protesters, they have a right to enter into the Assembly and sit down in the designated portion to be addressed by the lawmakers. And one of the things we told the CP was that for a people that you have done all of this to, they have been killed, many of them have been sleeping in canoes for weeks, the best thing you can do to them today, when they are crying for help, is to restore some dignity to them. Allowing them to stay in the sun here, for lawmakers to come and address them, is to even further, add to the dignity they are facing. The Commissioner of Police refused. Some lawmakers came out, 3 lawmakers. We also engaged them. They also refused. And we told the lawmakers, in December, late December, December 23 or there, we had a protest in Lagos State, led by the Nigerian Labour Congress. I was at the protest. And we were received in this same designated place. We are aware of many APC members who have had protests from Alimosho, different local governments, to that House of Assembly. And they were received in that designated place. So why are you saying these people cannot enter?
Let's talk about the House of Assembly. Were lawmakers on ground at the time this happened, and was there any reaction?
They were there. The Commissioner of Police asked them to move back.
The lawmakers.
Because what the Commissioner of Police does not know is that we have our own counterintelligence. We are not violent, but every time we are having our protests, we ensure that we place people in different places to be able to gather information so that if anything happens, we can know what I, for instance, was arrested with my back to the police. So I did not know what even happened. But when I came out yesterday, because immediately I came out, we went to a meeting immediately. And the information I had was that the Commissioner of Police was telling the honorable members to move back. That he had told them severally to move back. They should move back because he wanted to do something. So they moved back so that they will not be caught in that. So that the lawmakers cannot see that they are not aware or they were not in the know of what the police did on that day. That was a desecration, what the police did.
Okay.
A desecration of the House of Assembly, which is supposed to be a people's assembly. Now, the same lawmakers now, on the basis of what happened on that day, in order to now correct their image, they have sent a letter of invitation.
They've sent a letter of invitation
to Mark Oko, asking for a meeting. And we're happy about that. Because even though the Commissioner of Police and the police have treated me in this way, I'm going to sue them and sue them appropriately. You know that he sued them a year ago, and there's a 10 million naira award against the Nigerian police that they have not paid yet. We are going to sue them again for this. But we don't want this matter to just be about this. This matter is about Makoko. So that the meeting that they are planning for now, we consider it one of the victory of that protest. And we're going to ensure that we assemble a strong team of community representatives, CSOs, and lawyers to ensure that a clear and correct discussion, a comprehensive discussion about what needs to be done in Makoko, can be had.
And just to clarify, I mean, regarding the people that were injured, the CP, there was a video where he detailed not being aware of people that were injured. Let's take a look at the video of the CP, and then we'll come back to have Soweto respond to that.
Tell us why all of a sudden there was, that several canisters fired into the air, dispersing the entire protesters.
So, thank you so much. When I came in here, I don't work on sentiment. They assemble under the bridge in Ikeja, and we give them enough protection to get to this venue. This to ensure that hoodlum and miscreant don't hijack this protest. And I advanced to this venue to wait for them. And they came, and I started talking to them on the need to ensure that we're peaceful. This is a public highway. You're right, stops where that of other people begins. So we can't allow this highway to be blocked to traffic. So and I asked them to stay in one place. That is not the fighting issue anyway, but it's important for people to know that I was abused. Pebbles were thrown on me. I endured that and stepped aside. I called on the leadership of the House of Assembly. Then I came to address them. And they addressed them. They refused to listen on the need to be law-abiding with what they are doing. Protest, if it's peaceful, is permitted. But where you use protest to block the public highway, you can see yourself when you capture them, they were seated on the public highway, which is...
And that is the CP, Mr. Olowundari Jimo. Let's have your response to that.
Well, the CP said we abused him. There's no way I can refrain from saying this, that what the CP just said just now is just a bunch of lies. I know that I will consider that as another abuse, but the reality is that we have to state things as they are. What he has just said now, for those who are the protesters and journalists, they will know that they were just lies, because there was no point that anybody could have stoned the commissioner of police. There were no pebbles. There are no, go back to the assembly ground now. There are no pebbles there for anybody to take and say you want to stone anyone. Like I said earlier, I was arrested at a point where I just addressed the crowd to sit down for lunch. We wanted to serve lunch. People needed to eat and have some water because we've been marching. That was, and people complied. And that was where I was arrested. And in the charge sheet, there was nothing indicating in the charge sheet that anybody threw pebbles. In fact, unlike what the CP has been saying that I called him a murderer, something which I do not withdraw anyway. But I found it surprising at the court yesterday that there was nothing about me calling him a murderer in the charge sheet. What the police said in the charge sheet was that we were singing abusive song at the government and the police. And I asked you, which protest anywhere in the world that you don't have abusive song? Which protest? Unless you are doing a church revival, that's when you sing praise and worship. A protest is first and foremost an expression of people's anger and disapproval. So abusive song is a part of protest. And we did call the police murderers. And how couldn't we? When you kill 35 people in Oworoshoki, then what are you? When you kill 12 people in Makoko, what are you? When you kill 6 people whose bodies are still in the morgue, what are you? I stand on this, that the police commissioner is responsible for the death of all of these people.
These are very
strong allegations.
And we are going to follow it up because we need justice for these people.
These are very
not
strong
statistics.
allegations.
There are strong allegations which we are going to carry forward and sue the police appropriately. We need justice for these are people's parents. A 5-year-old baby. Where is the outrage? This is not Gaza.
Soweto, I mean, we do understand how you feel.
What we should be having now is the Lagos Assembly or National Assembly setting up a panel, inviting the police commissioner of police, come and answer to that. What did your men do in Makoko? What did they do in Oworoshoki? What did they do in Owojo?
All right.
These are people, dead bodies, not statistics.
Soweto.
Okay. Soweto, thank you so much for joining us. I think what we'll do, as a broadcast channel, we'll do our best to invite the Commissioner of Police.
Please.
We would extend our invitation to him. We do understand he was on the station 2 days ago. I would further throw in the invitation again. Hopefully we'll have him next week. Seated here and answering to some of these allegations. They're weighty allegations you've thrown out there.
And I'm sure that you'll be able to defend them in court.
We hope that, I mean, since the matter is still in court, we'll wait till that happens.
Thank
you so much. All right? Thank you.
Quite a heartbreaking account there, but we'll continue to follow up with the story. Let's now move on to security matters. According to security reports, Miyetti leaders in Kwara have been apprehended after investigations allegedly tied them to ransom proceeds from kidnappings in the North Central region. These arrests have reignited concerns about the infiltration of criminal networks into sociocultural organizations. While authorities insist that due process will be followed, civil society groups are demanding transparency and accountability in how these cases are prosecuted. Joining us to unpack the implications of this development is our guest, who is a rights activist, Madi Shehu, and he'll be joining us after this break.
Welcome back to Security Matters. It seems like every single day we cannot go to sleep and wake up without hearing of cases of insecurity. We do have our guest who's joining us. Is the principal partner, Monarch and Associates Consulting. We have Mr. Akinkunmi Von Thomas, who's here with us. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Lagos.
Before we went on the break, Olive highlighted the Miyetti Allah leaders who have been arrested in Kwara State over ransom proceeds. What's really going on? I don't know if you've been following this story.
I was here to mention that you and I might be acting a film, and we are all playing with ourselves as it concerns Nigeria for now, because it's a script that is being acted out. I said that ahead of Miyetti Allah coming out and all these issues coming public. But the question is, when can we have the freedom to say things we see so clearly, and there are proofs that these things are not supposed to happen? Do we have a good power check? And is accountability in the nation, is it ensured? Because if we don't have institutions in place that have the right to function for our sake, then we are all just playing. Now, these three people at the end of the day might be pushed to the fact that they say this is an independent case, that they are just Nigerians, that they should be dealt with as individuals, and they should not be related with an organization that is peaceful and doing what they have to do. But if you see the evidences and things that have been produced as their movement and their involvement with task force, their movement within the country, and how they've come to arrest them now, they might just leave these people at the end where nobody will stand for them to say they are part of us, we are responsible for them. And these same people that we feel we've arrested citizens now, they can disappear and nothing will happen. So we might just be joking with ourselves.
But why is it a joke? Isn't this a breakthrough that people who receive ransoms?
If at the end of the day, these people we arrest, the situation is pushed to the fact that they are responsible for themselves, and it is an independent thing, not related with an organization, enough for us to prove that there is a conspiracy in place or there is something happening that we can ask for accountability and the power that is backing this to be checked. Then we are dealing with one man you found in a bush that bears so name, and he has done what is wrong. Then deal with him. Then it's a joke because there is no organization, there is no accountability, and there is no check. So you and I can continue to advocate as long as we want, and we are just joking. So permit me to use that word, joking.
I mean, it is quite an unfortunate scenario here. The elites have also been criticized. They've been accused of being complicit. Many have said that they haven't spoken as strongly or as passionately, that a number of them are turning away and looking away from these matters. You know, what role do citizens have to play in this? What role do the elites, do they really, can people blame them in the way that they've been blaming them?
I won't follow your big English. Let's implement robust whistleblowers. Let's implement it. Follow me.
There's a whistleblower in prison. No?
I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
I'm going somewhere. Freedom of press. Let's ensure that is in place. But the institutions to back them, should it be there will be reprisals or reactions, that these people will be punished for doing what they ought to do for us to get the truth out? Those institutions have to be empowered and they have to be independent. Because if we don't organize and arrange the backflop or what these things will fall back on, then everybody will know the truth, will keep talking about this thing, and nothing will be done. So the whistleblowers that we know, there are people that know things. There are people that are ready to stand as evidence or give evidence for things that are happening. Enough for us to have justice and there will be punishment for one thing or the other. But what if all those institutions are corrupted? So there's no place for accountability. Power is not checked. So we are playing according to the dance of those that power is in their hands.
But it sounds at best very optimistic. It sounds very long-term. I'm looking at something rather immediate.
Well, nothing good. Nothing good. That is, if it is not organized, you're joking. Look at what my brother here said. He said a whistleblower is where? Is where he is. So if we don't arrange those things, the first thing is we need to make everybody know that instead of us coming out and saying all these things truthfully like we are joking, then let's leave it and face the consequences that some people have made up their mind that this country will not stand, and let's let them have their play. But if we don't want them to have their play and we want to voice out and speak, then we need things in place to protect those that are ready to come out to fight. If those things are not in place, then we can continue to talk.
So we can rightly say that this issue is more than what meets the eyes. Because what people are hearing and seeing, there could be an underground factor that many still don't know. Permit me to run through the timeline of this particular story. So, it was mentioned that the National Security Advisor, No Ribadu, engaged a group of vigilantes to tackle banditry in Kwara State. Okay. We all agree on that. That was the story that came out. Okay, why don't you use local vigilantes and so on? Due to the fact that there's been terrorists in the state. And the SSA, to the governor of Kwara State, confirmed that. I'm talking about Mr. Abdulatif. He confirmed that yes, they're working with the NSA and he's getting a few persons within the vigilante to protect. Secondly, soldiers arrested bandits in Kwara State. There were videos where they were all lying down and they were being kicked and so on. The bandits confessed that Kwara State government gave them weapons. Kwara State government came out and said, no, we didn't give them weapons, oh, it's a lie. But later, Kwara State government said the only thing we gave them was they were using state van. So we have duplicity of information being shared. That's not all. Later on, a statement now came that those three that were caught in a video, that they were Miyetti Allah members. Moving on in December, they engaged with the Office of the National Nur Ribadu's office, and the Joint Task Force style, like they mentioned, they put them together to protect Ifelodun, a community. That's Miyetti Allah. Okay, let's see how we can protect the community and so on. But then again, Miyetti Allah says those three that you called out, they were our members. It's a lie. So why am I running through this timeline? There's a lot of back and forth. We gave them weapons. We gave them van. No, we did not give them.
It's very simple. The big English you are speaking. Number one, lack of transparency. Number two, selective targeting. Number three, inconsistent statements. Number four, unusual leniency and severity. It's a drama. It's all a drama. We don't have a formed organization that is put in place for the administration of this country. Nobody can be held accountable. Then you and I are Nigerians. Let's not speak just to the crowd. Power can control anything. Power can control anything. I'm saying those that can counter or question this authority, they need to be, they need to be given their independent place to be able to fight, and they will not be afraid that they will be dealt with. And whatever they bring out there as punishment for anybody found as a culprit will go through for punishment. But you and I know this is not possible. You and I know this is not in place. So we're just playing safe to the public, or the government is just playing safe to the public. Look at that level of inconsistency. Look at that level of inconsistency. Who do we hold responsible for that? Nobody. So we keep going back and forth. So I said very easy. Bring laws to place that empowers whistleblower, the press, then give an organization, maybe the judicial or something, that have an independent power whereby whatever they say will come to pass and nobody can shake it. Empower them. Fine, you said long term, but everything good. What we're suffering now, they didn't wake up to put all this insecurity in place. It has been planned for a long time. And it's still a network of what we can't fish out openly.
Okay, we'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll look at the fact that it seems the biggest business is that of ransom and people earning from kidnapping. This morning we talked about a story of a couple. Two stories. A couple who had faked their own kidnap. And then the woman who's crying. We'll look into that and see what security details can do whenever they receive these type of information. After the break. Stay with us. Back, Breakfast Central, and we're taking a look at the Miyetti Allah leaders who were arrested in Kwara over ransom proceeds. There have been some counter statements and statements from here and there, and our core focus is on the state of insecurity and how it affects the people. We want to narrow it down to terrorism and, most importantly, kidnapping, which is now the #1 on the list, aside from attacks and counterattacks, insurgency. Now, kidnapping is like the money-spinning business now, sadly, in Nigeria. Recently, we saw a story of a couple who, lied that they were kidnapped, and they received money from different sides of their family members, up to the tune of 10 million naira. And we're going to play a video right now. Let's get the video up of a woman who had no other place to get help. She had to come to the market space and beg that people contribute so that she can get her daughter released, who had been kidnapped. Let's watch this video, then we'll come back. We want to know what security details or those who are following the insecurity in Nigeria can do, especially in cases of information like these. Okay, how do we manage this situation?
Moral failure. Well, that one is human. It's human. It's just people playing intelligence with security not being coordinated, the community not being organized. It still comes back to accountability. That's why you will see police dealing with people, and you ask them, what right do you have to deal with this person the way you are dealing with the person? Do you have evidence? Have you proven it? Has everything got to the process which it needs to pass through before you have the right to even do anything to the person? So the moral failure is all over the place. Look at what we're looking at. A family, they were abducted or kidnapped. The child was kidnapped. She's asking for help. They are contributing. And while I was looking at it, it just came to my mind that, like you said, they could turn it to business whereby somebody would just say, look, let's act our own. We can't find food to eat, and we can survive on this thing. Let's make noise, gather whatever we can gather. If somebody gathers 2 million naira on this, and the person doesn't have a job, doesn't have what to eat, and the person comes back again with the child they've hidden inside the house, it's because there are gaps. And the gap still goes back to security and accountability. Nobody to hold. The moral failure is all over the place.
It's like it's free for all.
Yes.
So now this one now where the mother has to respond for her child, which is rather sad. And then we're in a country that has made it illegal to source for ransom. The sort of to advocate to pay ransom to terrorists.
Just like what she's doing, right? Which is illegal, right?
So if you now come and say that that people shouldn't pay ransom, we don't encourage terrorism, how do we find that balance? Because you haven't provided the security.
That we help them out.
Put the systems that would guarantee the safety of these citizens. Citizens are having to be their own government. They're providing their security. They're rallying together to be able to gather intelligence to find their loved ones. In some cases, we've seen where there's been exploitation. Someone has been kidnapped to go to make a report, and you're even exploited further. So, I guess the question is...
When you get to a police station, running with your emergency to announce that a family member has been abducted, and police officers will sincerely tell you, sir, even to move from here, number one, did you come with a vehicle? You say you didn't come with a vehicle. They said there is no means of even moving from here. And the people you are talking to, you tend to ask yourself, are these people even capable to help the immediate situation of what I'm going through? So the masses have their doubts, very open doubts about how insecure they are. Very, very open. So the moral failure is general. And what to do about it, to give accountability, you begin to trace it down. The police even go as far as telling you this is the amount of money they give them monthly, and you to listen to that amount, can it run this kind of organization? And you begin to reason, and you see that the failure, the system is just broken. It's a broken system, and we can't run away from constitutional reform and institutional reform.
One question every Nigerian would ask,
I
mean, as a security person yourself, why is it taking long for the name and shame to have happened? Why is it so long?
Something came to my mind.
I've not gotten your own aspects to
something came to my mind, because for a leader to be elected, you will need those at the grassroots. Our problem is not these people that are elected and put in place and we're claiming we don't trust now. It is those at the bottleneck they use at the grassroots to get to where they are. We need to quickly begin to work on, because they speak for many people. I'll give you an example. I have my place in a street where if somebody is a very rough person that can beat anybody in the street, police knows the person and nobody is doing anything about it. He becomes a terror on his own. Now, if I want to campaign in that street,
you need that person.
I need that person. And immediately that person comes in. Money exchange hands, which is not a problem. But when you look at the person is morally zero. Has nothing to, he has prostitutes, he does not go home, he has rogues. You can be passing and he decides to take a drink and nobody can stop him. Now, I'm going somewhere. Now, if this person goes with the political hand that needs his help and they are asking, what do we need to do? I need the whole of this local government taken. When I saw it yesterday night, I just smiled. They brought in, what do they call this this solar lights. They just brought solar light to the whole street and everybody just disappeared. Whatever he says goes. Is this not the better country we're asking for? At least he has fixed the light for us. But what they will take is deep. You're looking afraid. All is well.
I mean, these conversations are very sad to have.
So we have solar, when you come, you see the place, all lights are up. That's not what we're talking about. The person that has engaged them to tell them you have the whole of this local government, moral, very wrong person. His home is not in place. He doesn't have respect for education. He doesn't care about the welfare of the people he's controlling at the grassroots. And he doesn't have office. It's just because he's a thug and a crook. That is why he can rule over them. That's how he entered into the office of somebody that rules that community. So
Togri has exchanged
just the same way we're talking about how ransom for kidnapping has become business. It's just moral failure. It's just moral failure. Accountability needs to be put in place. And power must be checked.
Power really must be checked, Mr. Von Thomas. Thank you very much for joining us. We will continue to follow up with new developments on this story. We hope that we can even hear from the citizens, we can hear from the government, and we're not playing politics, because it seems that politics is the main concern. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has reiterated that his administration may revoke the land housing the Onitsha main market and repurpose it, including for using it for a school or security facilities, if traders continue to close shops on Mondays in observance of a sit-at-home order. Professor Soludo made the comments during a meeting with leaders of the Anambra State Market Amalgamated Traders Association, ASMATA, stressing that the closure of the market due to the weekly shutdown amounts to economic sabotage.
The governor said the state has legal authority to reclaim markets and land in the public interest, but will compensate owners and allow compensation disputes to be taken to court. Soludo has directed local authorities to monitor compliance and record shops not open by 10 a.m. on market days, including Mondays, when non-compliance potentially leading to fines, permanent closure or revocation of land rights. The state insists security has improved with about 150 security personnel deployed at the market, and argued that sit-at-home orders have formally ended, pointing out that markets operated throughout the holiday season without major incidents. Well, joining us now to share the pulse of the people and traders of Onitsha Market is a social worker with Obaji Community NGO. He is also a member of the Onitsha Chamber of Commerce, and he joins us via video conferencing. Mr. Ozioma Enieto, thank you so much for being here this morning. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, all right. So since you are a member, it means you know every single thing that's been happening within that market space, be it in Anambra or particularly where you come from. Can you tell us what the update is? What may have led to the governor making such strong statements, and why are people reacting differently?
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I would like to, first of all, introduce myself so that you understand why I am the right person to talk about this. I am born and raised in Onitsha. In fact, I've spent almost all my life in Onitsha. I was here when everything started, and I still live here. My family, my extended family, all of them, most of them are in the main market. My friends, you know, the space we are talking about is a place I visit almost every day. It's a part of our life. Without that particular place, a place like Onitsha may not be existing or bubbling or having this kind of the brand, you know, about Onitsha as a space. And the fact remains that this started like people being forced to do something. Not that the majority, not that all of us did not agree to the sit at home, but it started by a group of people trying to tell us that we must sit at home on Monday for civil disobedience. The idea was that when it is done, the federal government will listen to what we were saying. These are the issues I want us to delve into because of its sensitivity and because I don't think it will add to what is happening presently. So since that 5 years, we started staying at home, we started observing that. Some willingly wanted to do that, but there are huge percentage that really do not want that. But when you look at the threat, what may happen if you disobey such order, apart from the people that believed in that, seeing it that you're sabotaging a particular movement, a whole lot of things, you know, the insecurity part of it. So people started observing it. But over a time, when you look at it, something that had lasted for 5 years, you know, people started creating their lives around what is happening, creating their lives, trying to know, okay, how do we make the best use of Monday? What's Monday going to be like for us? And people started creating their lives around that particular anomaly, because that's what I call it. And over a period of time, it becomes a part of us. So the government is saying that this is not normal. We have to return to normalcy. And when you want to uproot something like this, you don't expect it to just come like you make a declaration and people start following you. So what we are looking at are not about people trying to say we must sit at home, or the government insisting that you must not sit at home. It's about government trying to disrupt something that have lasted for a while and has turned to what I would call a culture. You know, a lot of people, on Mondays, they do have their meetings. Sometimes they they have to exercise themselves. There are a whole lot of things happening on Monday, and people have readjusted, and all of a sudden you want to stop that. So that is what we are presently experiencing.
Okay. All right. I mean, we're also looking at the aspect that, so let's break it down further. I want to ask, has there been an agreement now? The people, have they agreed? Has the protest stopped as we speak? Have the entire Market Association, have they agreed that they would comply with the governor's instruction?
Okay, what we heard about what happened yesterday, they went to Oka to meet Governor Chukwuma Soludo. And because the government, I don't think the government is looking at it from the angle of whether you want to stop it or not, because government is looking at it that Monday should be Monday, Monday should be Monday. Throughout the world, throughout everywhere, Monday is this, and we are still a part of a system. We can't isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. So Monday is a Monday. Government is not even looking at if we are going to agree whether we're going to start on Monday or not. Government is looking at trying to tell them that you have to make an option. If people are going to sit down every Monday, that's what we heard. I wasn't in the meeting. That if people are going to sit down on Monday, then as well we can decide to renovate the market. You take 2 years off. We do whatever we want to do in the market so that by the time we all agree, we can now start the whole thing. Or you people will come on Monday, take attendance, let's know who is there and who is not there. If anybody is not coming on Monday, we'll just assume that the person doesn't want to come. So with this, I think the conversation now has changed from are we going to resume on Monday to let's do this, let's pick from the options of the government. As of yesterday, some people were still in the streets trying to protest. They are trying to show their grievances. And I think they've made their own voices heard. Most of them are trying to say that what the government did wasn't proper. They were using force to bring them out. And I believe that the government heard that. And I think maybe why the government took that particular position was not to, because if you want to talk to people that have lived their life like a particular way for a long time, sometimes you have to do something hard to bring them to the table. I am on the opinion that government knows what it's doing. Government knows that the best way to bring them to the table to start talking is by doing something abnormal, something that is disruptive. And I think it is achieving this.
The president, the governor rather, is stepping out of his boundaries by insisting people return to work. They argue that the governor, I don't know why I keep saying the president, the governor should be able to do this to civil servants because they are working for the government, but that these are independent business owners who may have worked over the course of the weekend and have decided not to return on Monday, that it is the governor stepping out of his rights and infringing on theirs as well, stepping out of his duties and infringing on theirs as well. What would your response to them be?
Okay, you need to understand a place like Onitsha for us to delve into this. Once the market is not open, Onitsha is shut. Because when you leave your place on a Monday, the people, the keke, which is the main means of transportation, and the buses, once they know they can't move a lot of people from a spot to another, it discourages them. You will see 1, 2. You will notice that that day is not like your normal day. And a place like Onitsha, once the market is on, because all the traffic you see in Onitsha, people coming in to buy, taking it out, once the market is on, the parks will be on. Onitsha is, I don't know, but arguably the only place in the whole of Southeast you can connect to every part of Nigeria. So Onitsha is a hub. Onitsha, it plays a very vital role when it comes to Southeast. So when people buy things, they will come to that place, load it, some going to Cameroon as far as Cameroon. So once the market is not on, you don't expect the park to be on. You don't expect the city to function. And if you tell civil servants to come out on that particular day, students to come out on that particular day, they will be easier targets. Because what's their number? What's their population? It's like sending 2 or 3 persons. And even the people staying at home will see them as saboteurs. It makes them vulnerable. So the best thing, if you want to start the town, is look at what makes the town, the population come out. It won't be easier for someone to do something to people on the road if he knows that he will meet a hold up or meet a lot of people that may interfere. A lot of things. So Onitsha is a city that is built on that business people and the market. Once you are not bringing them out, the town is dry. And anyone you tell us to go out on that particular period, you are risking the person's life. So if the market can't open, no other place should be open, because One, they can't even find a way to transport themselves easily. Like the days, a lot of people are on the road because every transporter wants to go and come back and make its money. And two, it makes them easier targets. I believe that government saw all these things and decided to, first of all, look at what will bring the town up immediately. If you send only the students, even the people in the market that believe that Monday sit at home is okay, will always try to point out that those people are sabotaging the system to make them vulnerable.
I read an account of one of the business owners in the Onitsha main market who said that it's not just about the market opening. He argues that the banks aren't open, the schools aren't open, and he says if the market is open today, that some of their customers will not be able to come to the market because they have to go to the bank to withdraw money and be able to come and spend the money on them because it's a very cash-driven market. So I don't know if you can speak to that as well, because you're saying that the market has to be open, that the government took into account all these other considerations, but their argument is that we're not the only ones that are sitting at home. What about the banks? What about the schools? What about the other institutions that also don't go to work on Mondays?
Okay, like I said earlier, bringing it back to this particular spot, if you are a bank, why we have concentration of banks? In fact, most, if not all the banks, are from Upper New Market Road to Old Market and New Market Road. This will tell you why the banks are situated there. They are situated because of the market. In fact, the banks became very populated because in the time where people were moving cash. So, most of the banks, some banks strategically are inside the market. You can't see Sterling Bank anywhere else in Onitsha, except inside the market. You have the Zenith, the UBA. Inside the market, you have the Union Bank. This will tell you why the banks are there. So if the market is not open, the bank won't be open. Like I said earlier, if they feel that the system is now open, they are business people now. Once they know that the system is now open, that people are going to the market, nothing will stop them from going to that particular market. So if you want to play hide and seek, you can say this. But we know that once the market is open, if you open the market, let me tell you something about schools. If you open the market, if the couple are going to their shop on Monday, they must need where to keep their kids. So they must force the schools to open. They must. So it's about the market. Once the market is closed, parents sitting down at the home, the banks will not open, the schools will not open, nothing will open. So I believe government sat down, understand all these things, and then take a decision. They did not just wake up one day and start looking at the market. The market is the most difficult factor, part of the city to activate. But once activated, every other place will be open. And this is very important to the whole of Southeast, because once activated, the park gets open. You see a lot of activities going on in Onitsha. Once Onitsha is open, people will always know that they can move from Onitsha to any part of Nigeria. That's something that will affect the whole of Southeast, not just Anambra State.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ozioma Inieto. He is also a member of the Onitsha Chamber of Commerce, and he's highlighted, giving us details of what's happening there in Anambra. Thanks for your time, by the way, and we'll talk to you real soon.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Breakfast Central is the show, and we thank you so much. You could drop a comment or two on our socials, but we'll go on a quick break. When we come back,
taking a few comments on YouTube.
All right.
Before we go on the break. This is, of course, referring to some of the things that we've discussed earlier in the day. Frank Obute says, Nigeria is a country of double delight experience. Depending on where you stand is how you're treated. Chukwemeka says, what happened to the agreement Buhari signed when he was president with Turkey? Just rinse and repeat meetings. Len Inekwere, in response to the statement by the NIDCOM boss about how how she wonders why we're making the president's fall a big deal. He says, when former U.S. President Joe Biden fell, I watched live on CNN. The headline was the same, no cutting corners. Did the economy have any issues? Why always gaslighting Nigerians with the obvious? Dabiri Ireo. And then Mokinye Chukwemeka, also in response to the kidnapping of the girls, of the young girl who her parents or her mother is trying to raise funds for, now says, it's sad to watch a mother beg for funds to ensure her daughter's release. How much will she be able to get? And as usual, our security operatives will do nothing. Speaking about security operatives, the real Ella Lagos has some really strong comments to make. I can't take some, but he or she says, singing abusive song inside charge sheet, jokers. They are not allegations, they are facts. This is in response to the interview granted by Hassan Soweto. Remember that we'll be inviting the Commissioner of Police, as he does have a right of response. Really strong allegations were made. Bear in mind that these allegations do not represent our position here on News Central, as we, of course, our job is to tell the story and to invite the parties involved. We're inviting the police and hoping that they can come as well to give us their picture of what truly happened. We're going to break now. When we come back, I'll be bringing you breakfast headlines. Please stay with us. Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. We begin with security matters. Dozens of people, including Nigerian soldiers, have been killed in a fresh attack in Borno State. Local sources say the assault was carried out by militants linked to the Islamic State group. The attack occurred overnight on Thursday in Sabongeri, a remote community in Borno State. A member of the Civilian Joint Task Force, Ibrahim Liman, said the number of dead runs into dozens, with several soldiers still missing. He added that at least 20 bodies, including 5 soldiers, 15 construction workers and local hunters, were taken to a general hospital in the nearby town of Biu. Security operations are ongoing as authorities assess the full scale of the attack. Still on security matters, Taraba State government says that it is intensifying security measures through sustained collaboration with the police and other security agencies to address emerging threats, including cross-border and interstate security concerns. The governor, during a courtesy visit to the Inspector General of Police, assured residents of the state that efforts in identifying flashpoints, including areas placed under special security watch, that these are yielding results with operations currently ongoing to prevent escalation. The IGP, Kayode Egbetokun, in his remarks, says that the police is reviewing the security in the general area and will deploy more intelligence assets to halt further attacks.
We're here to strengthen the collaboration that's already existing with the police on internal security and crime prevention. Your men on ground are doing very well. The police is the only service that can give the proper policing that is required for any nation or any subnational to be able to remain safe and be secure in their daily lives.
In response to the escalated violence within the local government of security concern, we have also reviewed our strategy, including reinforcing our deployment to Taraba State. Recently, we have deployed additional tactical and intelligence assets to Taraba State.
The House of Representatives has called for the suspension of Professor Ikpeme, the Chief Medical Director of the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, over allegations of tribalism and his rejection of 17 newly graduated medical doctors posted to the hospital over their ethnic extraction. Lawmaker Igariwe Enwo, representing Afikpo and Eda Federal Constituency of Ebonyi State, earlier raised a motion of urgent national importance, accusing the Chief Medical Director of promoting brain drain in the nation's health sector. The House resolved to investigate the allegation, saying that Professor Ikpeme's suspension will allow proper investigation because of non-interference.
The House also knows that recent disturbing reports in the print, electronic and social media that the Chief Medical Director of the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, Professor Ikpeme, rejected a list of 17 newly graduated medical doctors posted to the institution by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, NMDC, that's the regulatory body of teaching hospitals, for 1 year mandatory housemanship. Mr. Speaker, the House resolves to, 1, mandate the Committee on Health Institutions to immediately commence investigation of the allegations contained in this motion and report back to the House within 4 weeks. Secondly, call for immediate suspension of Professor Ikpeme, Asanye Ikpeme, by the Federal Ministry of Health to ensure he does not interfere with the investigation to be conducted by the Committee on Health Institutions. Mr. Speaker, my respect.
International ratings agency Fitch has downgraded the African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, to junk status and withdrawn future ratings. Fitch lowered Afrexim's bank rating to BB+ from BBB-, citing rising credit risks, weak risk management policies, and concerns over potential losses on loans to member countries. The agency said the bank's inclusion in Ghana's debt restructuring reduced its policy importance and raised its risk profile to high from medium. Ghana announced the resolution of its $750 million loan to Afrexim Bank on the 25th of December, with the Paris Club backing the deal, indicating the bank may have taken a loss. Afrexim Bank said it has severed ties with Fitch, arguing the agency no longer understands its mandate. The head of Niger's military junta on Thursday, Niger's military junta, I beg your pardon, accused France, Benin, and Ivory Coast of being behind an assault on a military base at Niamey's International Airport and thanked soldiers and Russian partners for repelling the attack. Suspected jihadists launched an attack shortly after midnight, with local residents reporting shooting and explosions until calm was restored about an hour later. Niger, which has been regularly hit by jihadist violence, has been led by General Abdurrahmani Tiani since a coup that overthrew the elected civilian president Mohamed Bazoum in July 2023. No Islamist militant group has so far claimed responsibility. That's all at this hour. We'll continue with Breakfast Central as we bring you the newspaper review. I am Olive Emodi.
Let's talk about the 2026 appropriation bill of about 58.472 trillion naira recently presented to a joint session of the National Assembly by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which has passed the second reading in the House of Representatives. Now, this followed an agreement by lawmakers to suspend scrutiny of the proposed budget, referring the process to its relevant committees, where representatives of government ministries, departments, and agencies will be invited for defense. But our correspondent, Idong Joseph, was on ground and he filed in this report.
The debate on the proposed 2026 budget, seeking to approve the sum of 58,472,628,944,759 naira, commenced with a brief remark from the leader of the House, Julius Ehonvere.
You all recall that the budget of consolidation, renewed resilience, and shared prosperity was presented to this House in the joint sitting by Mr. President.
Reflecting on President Bola Tinubu's remarks during his presentation in December last year, the leader of the House urged colleagues to support the budget as presented, saying that based on economic indicators, things have improved under the current administration.
Our external reserves is at an all-year, 7-year high of $47 billion, sufficient to provide over 10 months of inputs.
With a revenue expectation of 34.33 trillion naira, capital expenditure of 26.08 trillion naira, he says that the House is committed to ensuring that the promises made by the President during his presentation are fulfilled.
Strengthen human capital development and manage existing debt. These are promises. I also know that those of us in the National Assembly, especially the House of Reps, were committed to ensuring that these promises are actualized.
Meanwhile, lawmakers, through a voice vote, collectively agreed to further debate and scrutinize the 2026 budget by relevant standing and subcommittees of the House.
If we are comfortable with the professorial introduction of this budget, we can go ahead and put the question. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
Earlier, a validatory session was held to celebrate the clerk of the House, Yahaya Danzaria, who is set to retire from the civil service in a week's time. Lawmakers went into an executive session that lasted for about 30 minutes. The House then adjourned plenary session for 2 weeks to dedicate time for the defense of the budget by government ministries, departments, and agencies. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Some residents of the Federal Capital Territory have taken to the streets of Abuja to commend the FCT administration for putting in place quality infrastructure and ensuring that residents of the capital reap the dividends of democracy. They reaffirmed their support for the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and members of the FCTA Executive Council, commending visible efforts being made to deliver tangible and undeniable results to citizens. Participants at the Solidarity Work urged members of the FCT political class to put the capital first and support the FCT Minister in his quest to transform the city.
The FCT is not battleground for political vendettas. No, it is the capital of our nation and the home of millions of law-abiding citizens. Attempt to distract, malign or sabotage genuine efforts of development will be resisted, not with violence, not with force, okay, but with civic unity, lawful engagement, and the power of public opinion. Public opinion, we are the public, and we are expressing our opinion today. We call on all political actors to put Abuja first, allow the minister to continue his work, allow projects to be completed, allow reforms to take root. Democracy thrives when leaders are judged by performance and not propaganda. We reaffirm our commitment to constructive engagement, peace, and national unity. We believe that when Abuja works, Nigeria works. When the capital reflects order, development, and fairness, the nation benefits.
Okay, so we have a counter-protest.
Exactly.
People are protesting that Wike must go. People are protesting that he's doing a good job.
Kind of what we saw in River State, where they protest against the emergency, what they call it again?
Emergency rule.
Thank you. Invocation of his, state of emergency.
And people came out naked.
And others came out and said, we are very happy. Thank you to the president.
The emergency rule is helping us. And then some went behind and they say, how far? They know how pay also.
And there's one person who is a common denominator in both stories.
You know the problem.
Do you by any chance know who that person is?
Yes, I do know the person you're talking about.
Okay.
In short, in this particular package, report rather, this coverage, I saw the people walking, they looked disinterested. They looked uninterested. They were just walking like, what's going on here? It reminds me of a new central coverage, Olive, last year. During a protest, I wish I had gotten this earlier. I would have, found the video where people were protesting against the government, and a guy came with a placard. I was saying, yes, support the government. And our cameraman also asked him, why are you protesting? Are they not doing, they are doing good? He said, no, what they are doing is not good. I don't like, and the guys behind him said,
do you know where you are? What? You are for the government. That was a funny one.
This rent-a-crowd thing that we always do, it's a problem. And then at the end of the day, why do you believe this is rent-a-crowd and the one against is our producers can show the clip again. Sometimes you need to be an intentional journalist, and you have to be what they call, what's that word? The FCT clip that we just played now.
The one of the protest.
Yeah, in support of.
But I won't call it a protest. I will call it
from the beginning. If you play from the beginning, all you need to do is just look at the faces of the people. Let's take time. So I like to examine videos most times, and one way I learn these things is you also look at the body language. There's a body language that you must look at in every. I wonder what a priest is doing. Now look at the people, Olive.
Yeah.
Can you see the
wow, they look very interested.
Pause this. Pause.
Can we pause this, producers?
I wonder our producer is not with us.
Oh, you have missed the part.
Our director rather.
Anyway, maybe we should actually.
Anyway,
let's get into the details and maybe ask.
Play again. Look, pause.
These are the people that are protesting in support. They are commending the minister.
There's a woman at that far behind your left that's wearing a red top and tying her wrapper.
Jonathan, they're not the right hand for
you see the woman. Play again. Press play. Watch the woman. Now pause. Can you see people at there just walking?
So let's maybe ask you what you think. We are streaming live on YouTube, so go on YouTube, New Central TV Live, and drop a comment about your thoughts. They say Wike is working, while on the other hand, others are protesting, about the the non-payment of their salaries. But let's start the newspaper review with this story. And we have our guest who is in the studio with us, Dr. Ojo. Good to have you on a Friday. You look really nice. Thank you for joining us this morning.
This suit is not going back with you. Let me just announce here now.
What is happening? Protest, counter-protest. Protest that says, oh, things are not working, we're not being paid. The quote-unquote governor insisting that he's gotten a court order that has barred them from protest. Now another protest.
That's FCT minister.
Yes, we are calling him governor. If we're to give it another term, it would be the governor of Abuja.
State yet.
And then another protest this time around to say he's working. Will he get a court order as well to stop this protest?
I think he must get a court order to stop them.
Okay, so
he must face the law.
The tradition in politics, protest and counter-protest is, and sometimes you become extremely worried that who is paying these people, because it's like a child's play to have people hit the street for counter-protest. And at the end of the day, we've seen before, after the protest, where people gather to collect money, and there's always an argument and all of that.
I was going there. And the one I mentioned was when they picked some people on the road and then paid them. And when they got there, they interviewed them. They said, do you know why you're here? They said, I don't know why I'm here. Then the issues where they are fighting for money. You never pay me balance. You give me balance of 2.5.
The normal fee, you know, there's what they call daily job. A bricklayer gets some few people to come and assist as joinmen, and they pay them 3,000. So the normal fee for a job like this is actually 2K. And there's always
this one where you know the price.
There's always a
this
third
one
party.
that you know this price. Like
and it's so funny. There's always a third party. And the third party can decide to also cut part of it, like 500 naira.
So they get
1.5. That's usually you see why.
Were you ever on the other side?
No, because we engage with these people daily.
Okay. All right, let's go straight into the papers this morning and start with the Guardian newspaper. On the front page of the Guardian, the big story: publish or perish. How varsities mass-produce research without solutions to society ills. And this is very important because there are many people who have done projects that is copy and paste. If you ask them what they did in their project now, they cannot tell you. They just want to go and copy someone else's project, change topic, and that's it. But I'm glad that in this era of AI, very soon we'll get to the point where they can quickly flag these irregularities. Amotekun denies accidental discharge at Owo training ground. NCC removes 450 legal signal boosters, reassigns spectrum. APC weighs leadership shake-up as Dume warns of northern discontent. 58.4 trillion naira budget scales through second reading without debates. Come on now. IPOB faults Soludo's threat to revoke Onitsha market ownership rights. Wike commissions 12 ambulances as FCTA workers resume strike. Zulum OK's direct payment of monthly allocations to Borno local governments. Cargo agents kick as FAN increases tariff by 257%. Senate probes warning Abuja-Kaduna Railway operations waning rather. Fuel price hike imminent as oil prices exceed budget benchmark. I don't even know where to start on this page. Okay, maybe we should start with, maybe let's start with the IPOB one. IPOB falls Soludo's threat to revoke Onitsha market ownership rights. He has said that if they refuse to open on Mondays, that he can even decide to convert the market to a school or to training facility for things. You know, he will build training facilities. Basically, he would pay the owners, those who have properties there. He says that going forward, that he will send officials to go and inspect the shops of those that don't open so that they can potentially revoke their rights to the ownership of the stores.
Okay, so there are a few federal agencies that I have engagement with in the East. You know, they have offices across the 36 states of the Federation. And one of the things that is very clear to me is that they will tell me they don't open office on Monday. So what do you do to those people? It's beyond the issue of market. And I've said it repeatedly that the major issue that anyone should be concerned about is the issue of insecurity, because it has a ripple effect on whatever investment you're making in your economy, whatever believability you are creating for your people, whatever you are doing. So insecurity has become a very huge thing. Now, are you going to allow your family member go to the market on Monday when you have experienced a similar incident before,
and you pay dearly for it. There was this short video that I saw some weeks ago of people trying to come out to do stuff on a Monday. This guy came in a Sienna vehicle, and they were just spraying bullets everywhere. So the thing is not the directive of government. The thing is not about the decision of government. The thing is about the situation of the community. What is the situation of the community? Have you come across as a person who's got a grip on the security situation in the Southeast? The truth is that we can go back and forth, but let the market people resume tomorrow. If there's any incident, the governor will be held responsible. So I think there must, beyond this forcing people to resume, there must be a proper conversation with the federal government. What are we going to do? Ma'am, on Monday, and this is not even a story, on Monday, there are people that are supposed to come from Port Harcourt to Asaba. That's about 3 hours from Port Harcourt. You pass through Imo State, if you know that road very well. On Monday, including even the state-owned transport company of River State. You know what they do? What? They come back to Ugeli. That's about 8 hours from Port Harcourt to get to Asaba. What do you do to that? They cannot try it. You cannot have any conversation of people going out on a Monday in most parts of the East. So they're not going to take you seriously. Impossible? It is not impossible, but government must have shown commitment to resolving the issue of insecurity in the Southeast. As we have it now, we have some porous, you know, I was talking about the other day, I was talking about movement of troops from one place to the other. When you move troops from here to here, this place becomes porous. I think we do not have enough manpower and commitment yet to be able to make such decisions that the government has made. And that is not to say that the governor is not working. That is not to say that the federal government is not trying to tackle insecurity. But I think the issue of commitment and deliberate investment is one question that we'll continue to lay emphasis on.
Okay. I mean, there are other stories that I think we should look at, but I want to try and see how many papers we can take, as many as possible. Please keep your comments on YouTube. We'll take comments from YouTube as well, and we'll take a few phone calls. So the phone lines are officially open, and we will start to take calls after this break. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We still are taking the front pages of the papers, and now the phone lines are officially open. Please call in if you'd like to speak about any of the stories that are on the front pages. We also want to urge you to drop your comments on YouTube. We'll take a few more comments before we wrap things up here. Now, still looking at the front page, let's move to the leadership very quickly. We'll come back to the Guardian if we have more time. The big story on the front page of the leadership newspaper, Kano APC Ganduje clash with Kwankwaso over Yusuf 2027. Let's talk about that. Are you the one that said you believe it's a ploy? I don't know if it was you or it wasn't you. Like one of our analysts said they think it's just a political strategy and that Abba would never betray Ganduje.
Okay, so
Abba would never betray Kwankwaso.
Yes.
Yes.
You never use the word never in politics because at the end of the day, people fight in the marketplace and they come back to the table to discuss. The most important thing in politics is interest. Though we should have conversation around what's the place of the people in the entire conversation because democracy is about the people, but the people are similarly helpless. And that's why you hear, even I don't want to go out to vote because my vote doesn't count. Really, your vote does. If it does not, people will not offer you 10,000, 20,000 to get your vote. But again, people can betray people in politics. And I'm so happy about these betrayals that are happening. Because the concept of having to force somebody on the entire system is a concept of third term. And the Constitution does not allow it. It's a way of taking the back door to get a third term. Oh, I'm not there, but I'm going to put somebody there who is going to bring the file of government to my table. I'll continue to sign. I decide who is in government, who is commissioner. I decide who is this and all of that. And like I've said it before, the concept of godfatherism in itself is not a wrong concept. It's just the way the godfather wants every process of governance to pass through his table. That's where the issue is. And I don't know whether it was here I was using the concept of Catholicism to explain it the other day. The concept of mentorship in organization. So you can have somebody is going to speak for you. I remember a very short story of somebody who was going into an organization and he went to the organization's headquarters and confessed to one person and said, please, They just employed me here, and this is my first official meeting. Some of these things I don't understand. And the man said, I make a promise to you. I'm going to hold you by the hand. And he did exactly that. That's mentorship. That's godfatherism in another sense. But it's not going to say, oh, before you sign anything, it has to pass through my table. So don't say never. I am seeing it will make the politics of Kano a bit more interesting, because the issue of Kano, the K-State has always been the bulk vote will go to one person. And once the bulk votes go to one person, that person becomes a winner. But if we have divisions here and there, it's going to make the politics. I just hope that they will be tolerant of one another well enough to base their campaign on political promises and issues, not to cause chaos and confusion in the community that will lead to the death of anybody.
All right. I don't know how this is going to turn, honestly, because it just feels... I saw the clip where they said Ganduje had especially come back to Nigeria to welcome Yusuf into his party. I don't know what this is going to mean. It might seem... And if this might impact the Kwankwasia movement. Kwankwaso had said that he's willing to move to any party that will give him either presidential or vice presidential seat. The suspicion as well of the potential of this current administration replacing the vice president with Kwankwaso, Kwankwaso was another conversation that came to the fore. You see that as a likely possibility, and if it happens, is that a strength for the APC? Okay, so one of the conversations, the backroom conversations that we've had is purely religion. It's not about the incapacity of the vice president or anything. Right, so it's the Muslim ticket? Yes, it's the Muslim. That's what we heard, and nobody has been able to confirm it. In fact, APC has come out to say that people should forget about that conversation. But you know one thing I've learned? Once you see a direction of conversation pointing at one focus repeatedly, then there's an element of truth in it in politics. So there will not be sense in removing a Muslim if the conversation is around the Muslim ticket. And of course, President Tinubu is a bit politically stubborn. That I know about him. So he may not be somebody who will just remove the vice president and replace him immediately. Though, if you look at his political history, consistently he has shown that when he was governor of Lagos State, he had issues with his deputy. Even at a point when he anointed Fashola, there was a bit of crisis in the first tenure. There was an issue with Ambode back and forth and all of that. So when you trace his political history, then the conversation in the community that there's a fallout in the presidency may actually make sense, because history has a way of repeating itself. So that may make sense, and that's why I am having this conversation. Immediately you raised it, I would have said, oh, it's not a conversation to have because of what APC said. But when I look at the history of the man who is the president himself, consistently that he's been the chief executive officer, he had always had issue with his deputy. Maybe that's what we are going to see again. Maybe a change will happen. Maybe the community will pacify him, like it's been repeatedly said that that may not be a political goal for APC. So let's just see how, but the thing I know is that between now, between February the 1st and August, a lot of things will happen in the political space of Nigeria. And the thing that I would be extremely glad for is that our economy will also do well, because there will be deliberate effort of politicians to ensure that people forget their suffering so that they can come back again to vote. If you say our economy will do well, then this top right corner of the paper...
Is Dr. John a Messiah now?
Oh, no, I'm just a prophet.
No, they are saying that to do well, our economy will do well. Yeah. I don't know when your projection for this is, just to clarify.
Fuel price is going up.
Exactly, which is the next story I'm about to take, the top right corner of The Guardian. Fuel price hike imminent as oil prices exceed budget benchmark. Okay. And this is something that we've talked about a lot of the time, that where our budgets oftentimes is over ambitious. Many argue that our budget is over ambitious. We're hoping, we'll be able to, if we can achieve this rate, and we hardly ever do that. So now, they say that the market faces fresh turbulence as global oil prices breached a key fiscal threshold yesterday, development that may further increase the nation's petrol pumps to about 1,000 naira per litre. Okay, let me talk about the budget before I quickly talk about why it is easy for our economy to do well in Nigeria. The budget is a promise. The budget is a potential. The budget is a destiny. The budget is a direction. The budget is prosperity and the budget is poverty, depending on how you manage the budget. Because it's a potential, it has the capacity to change and to grow. Because it's a direction,
It has the capacity of making a few changes here and there. It's like using your Google map. There's congestion here, you can take the left. Right. And the problem that we've always had with the budget is that nobody sits down with we don't usually have a deliberate budget that people sit down with utmost intentionality. And that's why I think that when people become extremely intentional a year to an election, the changes that will happen in the pump price, in the price of oil, will not be able to affect the economy of the nation. Having said that, why do I like our kind of economy in Nigeria? Our kind of economy is the one that responds quickly to politics. For example, if the president wants all our refineries to work before election, they will work.
Yes, sir.
No other place in the world has that capacity. In fact, let me now even shock you. If our president wants Dangote to crash price will come down. Everything in Nigeria responds to politics. And that's why some people in the World Bank will make strong economic calculation and they will say this is the direction that Nigeria is going. But you know what will happen? Nigeria is going towards that direction and somebody just introduces a bit of politics and everything will change. Automatically everything will change. So I believe, and I am talking from history consistently, that any year before the election, no matter the hardship that people have got before that election, there's always a bit of political intervention that happens. And once that intervention happens, everything normalizes. And that's why I am saying it to you again, that because 2026 is a year before election, no matter what the economic projection has been before now, there's going to be a slight change, and there's going to be a change in the economic direction that will benefit the people in a way that they will forget their suffering and they will go back to the ballot to cast their vote for. Don't let me mention.
I know what you're going to. I know what you say, and I kind of like agree with you, because when it's time for penultimate period for elections, things that weren't working before start working. And I said it here.
That's a pattern that has happened over and over again.
Yes.
Citizens should be wiser than that at the time.
It's not about the citizen, it's about a system that responds to politics. Everything, you cannot set up a business in Nigeria. I'm talking from a point of somebody who has set up repeatedly and failed. You cannot set up a business in Nigeria without responding to politics and expect the business to survive. What else? Everything responds to politics. If you are not careful, if you go to your church and preach anyhow sermon, they will lock up your church. Why? Because everything responds to politics. Anyway, so that's why I know that, again, I say it, no matter what the projections have been, 2026 is a great year economically. And I'm not saying that somebody is going to take you back to pre-Tinubu era. I'm not saying that fuel price will go back to where it used to be. But I'm just saying that there will be a bit of respite for the people and they will forget their suffering.
So that shows the manner of politicians that we have. Let's go to the next paper very quickly, as we have very few more minutes to go. Let's take a look at the...
We have less than 5 minutes, actually,
yeah, less than 5 minutes. Very quickly, just one story. Revenue Service appointments flout new law. Cargo costs to rise as FAN plans 250% tariff hike.
When we take that, I also want us to take the story at the bottom left corner of the paper, 58.4 trillion naira budget scales through second reading without debate.
Let's take that one first. I think that's the most important story.
You're supposed to do game. Okay, so the reason why, and this is not about one party or the other. The reason why everybody struggles to have majority in the National Assembly is because some of these things can actually go. And I believe that the system has always been, when the executive commit the budget, the proposal to the National Assembly, before the committee of the whole have the conversation, it goes to the Committee on Appropriation, and they look for the errors and they look for the correction. And that's, you remember the issue of padding. That's where the issue of padding came from the other day. So I believe that at the level of the committee, a lot of job has been done. So the Committee of the Whole now, maybe the Committee of the Whole does not have much of input. But again, the most important part of democracy is the voice of opposition. If we now get to a point where our democracy is about all yes, opposition may not have their way, but they should have a say, they should have their voice. I am expecting that instead of just having this thing, somebody should look through the budget and ask some basic questions. But having said that, my concern will now move from whether everybody said yes to the implementation of the budget in the first place. If you read the newspaper this morning, I think there was this story of health workers trying to go on strike. What is the percentage allocation to sensitive areas of our economy? For example, I'm always afraid of Nigeria. Nigeria is one peculiar country that has about 13,000 addition of babies every day. You cannot have that kind of country and that kind of economy and play with your health sector. In 2001, there's this Abuja declaration that was made. What is it? It's that henceforth from 2001, that there will be 15% budget commitment to health sector. 2001.
Has that been met?
That has not been met. In fact, the last budget, because I've not picked through this one, the last budget, what we had was 4.8%. committed to the health sector. So beyond the body of the papers, we must continue to look at the percentage commitment to each of these. The United Nations
we've never met up even the one with education. We've never met up to the percentage.
Yes, the United Nations have come to say, UNESCO, yes, United Nations came to say about 25% should be committed to education.
Even beyond that, even the implementation of the budget itself, if you look at, we've seen a carryover of budget from year to year, from 2024 to 2025. They had even said that no new capital project should be infused into the budget because we had not yet executed the one from 2024. Guess what? The MDAs included new capital projects reflected in 2026. So I think, like you said, it's beyond the proofreading.
What are you even going for? Let me shock him. Ekiti State's 2026 budget has the following: 68 million naira for health, 68 million naira for health, 1.2 billion naira for legislators' vehicles and furnitures.
And on that note, we wrap up this week's edition of Breakfast Central.
Without having to say something about that, but it's okay. I'm always giving up. Okay, 30 seconds. I just want us to know that the budget is the destiny direction of any nation. It's nothing to play politics with. It's a book of commitment, and everybody must align within the National Assembly to give Nigeria the kind of budget that will lead to prosperity, not poverty.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great show. Thank you, Mr. Dr. John. Thank you to our virtual guests, our virtual audience who have joined us as well. Breakfast Extra will continue with the political conversations over the course of the weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday. But Jasiri comes in a few minutes. My name is Olive Emodi. Have a good weekend.
And I'm Joe Hansen. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys again on Monday.
Au revoir.
Take care. Au revoir. Bye.
Bye.